That which cannot be seen by the eye, but by which the eye is able to see, know that to be Brahman alone, and not what people worship here. Brahman is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of speech, the breath of the breath, and the eye of the eye. The self, when it sees, smells, hears, touches, and knows, assumes the nature of the object perceived, just as a crystal takes on the color of its surroundings. He who sees all beings in the self and the self in all beings, he never suffers, because when he sees all creatures within his Atman, then jealousy, grief, and hatred vanish. When the five senses and the mind are still, and the intellect is silent, then begins the path supreme. This calm steadiness of the senses is called yoga. The one who knows the secret of the Brahman is merged in the Supreme. In that serene state, he neither desires anything nor grieves for anything. The Supreme is his only delight. That which is infinite is alone bliss. There is no happiness in anything finite. Only the infinite is to be reached or enjoyed. The Brahman is the ultimate reality, ever pure, ever enlightened, ever free, beyond the limits of time, space, and causation. The self is not to be known through study, nor by the intellect, nor by learning. It is gained only by the one who longs for it, and to such a person the self reveals its own nature. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. It is the supreme, the goal, the highest refuge, and the great treasure. The wise, by knowing the self is present in all things, sees the self in his own Atman and sees all things in the self. Therefore, he does not hate anything. That which is not heard by the ears, but which hears the hearing, know that to be the self. The Brahman that is the cause of the universe is the same as the self that is in us. Therefore, one who sees the universe as diverse from oneself goes from death to death. The one who sees the self in all beings and all beings in the self, never hates anything or anyone. The one who knows the self is the enjoyer of all desires, and is the Lord of all beings, never grieves for anything. The one who realizes the self as the indwelling spirit of all beings and the controller of all actions becomes free from all bondage and attains supreme bliss. The one who realizes the self as the supreme power that governs all things, and surrenders to it with faith and devotion, attains the highest goal of life. The self is the true reality that underlies all things. It is the immortal essence that transcends all changes and transformations. The one who realizes the self as the highest truth and attains unity with it, overcomes all sorrow and becomes free from all limitations. The self is the support of all things, the refuge of all beings, and the source of all power and intelligence. The self is the true reality that shines forth as the supreme light in the innermost depths of the heart. The one who realizes the self as the supreme truth and meditates upon it with devotion and concentration attains ultimate liberation from all bondage. The one who realizes the self as the supreme reality that pervades all things, and who sees all things as manifestations of that reality, becomes free from all limitations and attains supreme bliss. The self is the eternal witness that observes all things without being affected by them. The one who realizes the self as the innermost essence of all beings, and who sees the unity of all things in the self, becomes free from all fear and grief. The self is the supreme power that pervades all things and controls all actions. It is the source of all existence, knowledge, and bliss. The one who realizes the self as the supreme truth and meditates upon it with devotion and concentration attains ultimate liberation from all bondage. The self is the essence of all beings and the source of all wisdom and knowledge. It is the one reality that underlies all things and transcends all limitations.